I've accidentally deleted the rest of my police phone call, but I've got the reference number. Basically, the long and short of it was I explained everything this is what the stress is doing. So the call handler basically said, I haven't had a police call out, even though this woman threatened to beat me, punch me in the face, whilst trying to enforce her own rules in the house, such as, please do not wash dishes at 2 a.m, do them in the morning. Yes, it's pathetic, isn't it? You couldn't make it up. These women are just stupid. Washing machine and tumble dryer needs to stay off from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Yes, Sarah. This is a woman with a black eye who wasn't using her walking stick when she threatened to. Washing machine and tumble dryer needs to stay off from 9 a.m. to. Who's told you to? I mean, the call handler said, does she own the house? No, she doesn't. She's actually a licensee who's breached the agreement by smoking in her room, which is illegal, and John from Lilybank Homes could have a lot of fines on his hands. So she's put all these notices up because obviously it's on YouTube that I used the washing machine last night, which was leaking on the floor, which it wasn't before. And the funny foreign girl said, have you put washing up liquid in there? Because there was foam on the floor. I said, no. I said, like a normal person, I use usual detergents. They're nutters. They're absolute nutters. So, so basically, I've got OCD. This is what this demented landlady who's facing prison did. When she said, I ran the washing machine empty, and if you look online, there are articles that say you should do that. You should run your washing machine empty every now and again to prolong its life, because I use Dr. Beckman washing machine cleaner, and I've actually fixed my partner's friend's washing machine by emptying the filter. And Darren, my partner, who should be here right now, was the one telling me to be friendly with Sarah. And he said, I didn't tell you to be friendly with her. I said, well, why are you listening? Why are you standing outside their room listening to their conversations when they were coming out with this weird stuff about, am I schizophrenic? And your partner, they're just idiots. They're just idiots. These narcissists have overplayed their hands. They're looking for attention, and I just want to be left the hell alone. This John locked me out of Ceylon Place. My partner was physically assaulted by a nutcase from their all-male house share at Ceylon Place. I was locked out of that house share, and the Barclays Bank rang John to say, I have a vulnerable customer and you've locked. So as a licensee, I have contractual rights. And this Sarah, this evening, well, it was about 4:00 today on the 26th of September. On Thursday, the 26th of September 2024, at about 4:00, Sarah, the resident next door to me, stuck these notices up, told me that I'm supposed to have been out of the property. She threatened to punch me in the face. I've taken these notices off. You can see John running away from me, John, the director of Lilybank Homes, running away from me because I'm asking him. And you can see that the bin bags have piled up outside. And this vile creature that has threatened to punch me in the face, who's got a black eye under one of her, she's got a bruise under one of her eyes, and she's not using her walking stick. You can see in the video previous to this, she is bending down. She's she's a fantasist. She's saying, coming up with all this nonsense, and she's sticking these notices up. And she doesn't need you can see she doesn't need a walking stick when she's bending down to the washing machine. So how did she get that black eye, I'd like to know. Well, anyway, but she threatened to punch me in the face. I've taken these notices off, and you can see in the video, you can see her sticking the notices up. Who does she think she is? Please do not wash the dishes at 2 a.m. And yet the woman with black hair who does night shifts told me she can sleep through anything. I said to her, "Do you mind if I use my hairdryer?" And she said, "I'll close the door. It's just the reason why I went downstairs to use my hairdryer was so that I wouldn't wake up Sarah." And she said, "Yeah, that's fine." And that was a few weeks ago. Now all of a sudden, you see what I mean? So this has all been pre-planned. And Monique Prescott, who placed me in that house and said it would only be for one night, when the council were not doing what Judge Harper told them to do, which was to get me an illegal evictions officer, she and John said that the women there were lovely. And yet John has already committed a crime against me by locking me out of an all-male house share at Ceylon Place. So I was telling two lovely ladies here a little while ago, two senior citizens, about what has been happening to me. I told them about Andy Camfield, the duty manager, the ex-duty manager of this hotel, who's now in prison for fraud, who helped me when I was beaten out of my SDR living flat. And John of Lilybank Homes knows all about SDR living. Now, if my life is being put in danger, now I've just come back from the charity warming up the homeless. I gave the lady, they're not ladies, I gave Natalie, the woman that you can see in the background using the F word at me, because she and this Sarah offered to help me, said, "Oh, I should have my own flat, and am I schizophrenic," and all this weird behaviour, saying my partner was there when he wasn't. That woman that you see in the background swearing at me over the bin bags outside, I had reluctantly, don't ask me why, I reluctantly gave her Trudy's phone number. Trudy, who set up the charity warming up the homeless, she's ex-police. She's supposed to be concerned about vulnerable women and all of this nonsense. Now, she has blocked my number. I have been texting her. She texts me to say, have these agencies contact me. Now, I've just been to the charity that hands out food to people in a heightened state about just over an hour ago. And I was explaining how I'd had a threat of physical violence towards me once again. I even played my dictaphone recording to Jules, who's one of the team leaders. I said how... Where is it? I had it here a second ago. But, you know, I keep playing it. And I said how the police... how PC Scott Franklin Lester Sr. arrested me. I won't play it now because there are people in this lounge, but the one that was on a tag that threatened to beat me senseless at 3 a.m. and how the Sergeant Simmons told me to purchase a dictaphone, I was arrested for it, etc., etc., etc. The day that I moved into the property, On the 15th of August, I had missed an appointment for a scan at the hospital. I'd been losing a lot of blood and I didn't realise it, and I need a blood transfusion. I'm severely anemic. I'm on my own with all of this. And how on that same day, I met my sister, whom I haven't seen for years, who's estranged, who thinks she's a man, and I'm being told by Jules to go to the woman from Matthew 25, Maria, and these people are telling me, that she's no nonsense, but this Maria is full of nonsense because they're all saying the same thing. Your sister's a man, because they're lefty loonies in this town. They're pushing the agenda. They're pushing the agenda of mutilation of children. And this is what I was saying to these senior citizens. I asked them to keep me in their prayers. They sort of, it's difficult, isn't it? But I did tell them to sign the pledge, the Magna Carta pledge, to save the UK, because it covers all of this. And I was saying to Jules, in a heightened state, I said, the police haven't come out to arrest this woman. The council weren't doing what the MP was telling them. No one's doing anything. So I need to just take a deep breath right now, because I was obviously in a heightened state. But I want my sister to know, I want my sister Bronya to know that girl I was speaking to, she had tears in her eyes. And I said to her, there's a human in your eyes. There's a human being. I said, my sister has just turned 50. She's brain damaged. She's crippled. She thinks she's a man. She's got a beard. They are pushing this nonsense. I said, we needed trauma-based therapy. That's what the locum said. And because I'm speaking out against this satanic Luciferian Masonic agenda, I am being targeted. That girl had tears rolling down her face. Bronya, I want you to hear this, because my sister's support worker swore at me, much like these vile creatures, and she knows about my YouTube channel, and that's my sister's support worker, and she's behaving no differently to these vile creatures. I'm sorry, but she's behaving no differently to these degenerates, and she's supposed to be a support worker. I haven't seen my sister for years. My sister is in an extremely, extremely fragile state. But if I could just get through to those people at that charity, because Paul Thorpe, I told them to sign the pledge to save the UK, to go up to London on the 26th of October, because Paul Thorpe wants to hear my story. Jules, the last time I saw Jules, she said she had a service user in A&E attempting suicide. I've been up Beachy Head suicidal, and there's only so much you can do. Now, the thing is, these senior citizens, these lovely ladies who are here on holiday, they said, why don't you move away? I said, you can't when you're a vulnerable adult. I am a vulnerable adult. This is what people can't always see. It's part of the social engineering. It's manipulation. It's the weaponization of mental health. It's the Tavistock Institute, the very Luciferians, the very psychopaths that do this sort of mass it's what do they call it? Public relations. What do you call it? No. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. When you're studying human behaviour, like human behavioural therapists, that's why there are people who have sued the Tavistock Institute for doing these experiments on children, these mutilation experiments. So, and because I'm speaking against it, I'm going against the agenda that they are pushing, which is why you must sign the pledge to save the UK. Sign the pledge. It's the Magna Carta from 1215 or whatever it is. And it covers everything that is wrong with what is going on in this country right now. All this corruption. And as long as I'm still alive, I will speak out, because there were a couple, I spoke my truth. I said, so if I was mugging the elderly, like this convicted criminal, Sherelle Clark, if I was mugging the elderly, I would be protected by Brighton Housing Trust, just like that. They tried to get me the legal ombudsman tried to get me compensation as a vulnerable customer. The solicitor was trying to get me a probation officer. These words are not in my vocabulary. I've had a sheltered life. The Herald slandered me. This is what I mean. You couldn't make it up if you tried. But Abiyah was in control of this. He is in control. I do believe that. My partner, as I said, he brought me to the name of Yahweh. We were watching YRM last night, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So I've say it again and again, even if he was behind all of this abuse, this does not, repeat, it does not get these criminals off the hook for their corruption and crimes against humanity. Because I've just been to the charity warming up the homeless. That girl, she was the youngest of them, and I wouldn't say their names even if I knew their names, because I want to protect them to some extent. But one of them was crying for me. The others, it's a difficult one, because Jules said, Trudy hasn't blocked your number. She's away on holiday. I said, okay. She said, you're getting yourself worked up. I said, I appreciate that. I am it, because I was fuming angry. I said, I'm fuming angry that Trudy could block my number when I've sent her text messages. I don't think I've ever met her, but she's let me down before, and she texted me to say that these agencies would contact me, and they didn't. So, and as I was saying to these two holiday makers, I said, look, when you're vulnerable and you're crying out and the social services are corrupt. So anyway, at least if someone's listening to you, make people listen, because a couple of them, there was, how it is when people do the British stiff upper lip. There are people nodding, they're agreeing with you, but they're not actually doing anything. And that's the problem in this country. We have a cup of tea. We're told to have a cup of tea. We're told to leave things in the past. That's the English way. But you speak the truth. It's like communist China. The one that as I said, PC Scott Franklin Lester Sr., with his medals, tried to get me in prison when he was supposed to be investigating the one that threatened to beat me senseless, the one that was on a tag. And this is council accommodation. So my life is in danger right now. Right now, as I am speaking, I'm not safe. Because that woman, Sarah, that has tried to implement all her rules, and John is running away from me, John, the director of Lilybank Homes, running up the road with his knickers in the air, because I'm saying to him, you have not told me where the rubbish and the recycling go. Oh, Bryony's talking about recycling and rubbish. Oh, I can't be a director. She's too scary. Yeah. This is exactly what Charles Lucas Property Management were doing. And they were trying to get me in prison for going up Beachy Head suicidal. And this retired matron who's facing prison, this retired matron who said she wanted to help me write a book, this 85-year-old retired matron who worked for the Princess Royal Hospital is facing prison for what she has done to me, for exploiting me. She said she knew Justin from Charles Lucas Property Management, but she didn't tell me that when I moved in. So they all knew about my YouTube channel before I moved in. So yes, so I'm speaking up for not just myself, but those who are vulnerable, who are being silenced, whose lives are being put in danger. And well, what can I say? I've said it, haven't I? So I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I think I'm going to call the police, because John said to me that we do have CCTV, but it's not working. Does that sound familiar? Charles Lucas Property Management, who, when I insisted they put a CCTV camera right outside my room at 12 Belmore Road, and Sherelle Clark and Dion Clark were mentioned in the BBC News about over a year later, was it? They were mentioned in the national news as mugging the elderly. I recorded her, and she assaulted me right outside my room where the CCTV was installed. And Charles Lucas Property Management and Eastbourne Police said they could not find it. And yet I gave them they had the date of the phone call, which I think was it the 29th of March, the 28th or 29th of March, 1 month after her friend on a tag threatened to beat me up. And it was right outside my room. Right outside my room, in front of... There's a CCTV camera, and the police said they couldn't find it. Even though the camera was right outside my room, they had the date and the time, and they covered it up. And I have just bumped into a police officer on the seafront who is busy, and I've just said that the police call handler was going, Bryony. That's my partner, just a second. Hello. That was my partner. You see, this has a knock-on effect, because I send his parents text messages saying in capitals because of my PTSD. That's why I put everything in capitals, saying, because obviously I'm having anxiety attacks and nightmares, and I'm saying, please tell me my partner's not behind this. Please tell me he's not a sociopath. And yet this troublemaker Sarah had the nerve to tell me that maybe I get a bit paranoid, maybe I overthink, and maybe I'm giving my partner a hard time. But they were saying all these things when I literally just moved in, asking me if I was schizophrenic, smoking in her room, which she knew had upset me, which is illegal. You're not allowed to smoke indoors. You're not even... I want to complain to Tesco because you're not meant to smoke outside. If there's a roof, anything that's got a roof over it, you are not supposed to smoke. Even if there's no doors, it's illegal to smoke in bus shelters. And that's something I've wanted to complain to the council about, because it's illegal. That's why there are fines in place. The house could be shut down because of Sarah, but Sarah threatened to punch me and implement her own rules. You're not to wash up, you're not to do this. Anyway, if you want to have a good old laugh, go and have a look at that video where she's bending right down to the floor without a walking stick, with a black eye, putting these notices up as if she owns the place. They've been living there longer than I have, so they know about where the bins go, where the bin bags go, but they can't be bothered. And John can't be bothered. But I'm the violent one. I'm the scary one. Bryony. Oh, Bryony's talking about recycling and rubbish. Yes. Yeah. Cowards. Absolute bona fide 100% cowards. And I pity them. I absolutely pity them. They used their crocodile tears on me, which is exactly what Sherelle Clark did. I expect she did that with her mother when they were mugging the elderly to fund their drug habit. But the police are cowards, because you have a look on my Facebook wall and you will see what they did to me as a response to my father's death. This is what I was saying to them when in a heightened state at warming up the home list. There were two elderly men there. I said, my mother would be 86. She didn't want to come back to this country because of all of this. I am being attacked in my home by convicted criminals who are being protected by the police. And I said, you lot, I didn't say you lot as in you, them, but I was basically saying all these charities, all these people are telling me that the convicted criminals who are mugging the elderly, Monique Prescott said, they've got their issues. So, as I said to them, if I mug the elderly, that's fine, because I've got mental health issues. That's what they have been saying to me. Matthew 25, warming up the homeless, Trudy, ex-police, who couldn't even be bothered to respond to me she's gone away on holiday. How nice for her. So she's left me, a vulnerable woman, with these vile creatures who claim that they're victims of their boyfriends who are in prison, and they're threatening me with violence. And no one is doing a thing to protect me. No one. You've got a world famous suicide spot in this town. And the duty manager of this hotel is serving 7 years for defrauding people out of his girlfriend of £70,000. And he said he knew the head of police, the head of police. And he said we get complaints about SDR living all the time. So he helped me in my nightwear. Now, that's not a reflection on the other nice, lovely people who work in this hotel. But I'm sick to death of this cowardice. Where are the men and women of this country? We had schoolboys, our ancestors, as school children, fought and died for our freedoms in 2 world wars. And these cowards are allowing... BT, I said, how would you feel if you or your grandchildren got news of their father's death, received an email, and then they were beaten out of their flat as a response to their father's death, out of a supported accommodation? Yes, I know, I sound like a broken record. I'm going to shut up now because I've said my rant. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. But I am not going to let this Sarah bully me. So I've left, just to recap, I didn't get all of the phone call, part 2 of the phone call. I accidentally deleted it, but I'm going to ring the police back. I've got the reference number, 1005 of the 26th of September. I'm going to ring them back because I'm not going to let this Sarah bully me when John is already breaching my rights as a licensee. My partner Darren has stayed with me at Belmore Road to keep me safe previously. I'm not safe with the police because you see on my Facebook wall what they did to me on Beachy Head, beat me and bruised me, and this was a response to my father's death in an extremely heightened state. because as I said, it takes many years for that trauma. If you've been listening to my stories, you will know how I've ended up where I am. So Jules was saying to me at Warming Up the Homeless, where's your partner? Is your partner? I said, he should be in the Lansdowne Hotel. Obviously, I've sent distressing text messages to his parents, but why is no one doing anything? No one's doing anything. They've arrested me to silence me. It's cowardice. It's cowardice. Anyway, there we go.